station, everybody. Welcome to the return of Supreme Clientele. We are back. Episode 25, January 16th, 2024. Shout out to everybody who has been patient with us in the chats. We've been getting to it. But yeah, we got a revamped show. I'm excited to share this new kind of lineup with y'all tonight. Lynk, how are you doing, my brother? It's good to see you.
I'm excellent, my man. It's great to see you too. Oh, Alexa, the app popped up. I don't want to say her name. I don't know why she popped up and didn't say her name. But I'm doing great. I can't hear you. She must. Okay, there we go. Doing good. Happy to be here. It's a new year, new show. Well, not new show, but new ideas. I'm excited. I'm really excited as well as you are to implement these. So yeah, I'm happy, man. Good to be here.
Man. Absolutely. So yeah, we got some new segments we're gonna start with. So yeah, I thought we'd kick it off. One good thing from our past week. I know it's been more than a week since we've seen each other, but regardless, for me, it's snow on the ground out here in Virginia, even though most of it's melted by now. Like I was saying in the back chat today, I'm hoping for a blizzard. I'm hoping my kids get to experience a serious snow once in their childhoods. It really so far has eluded them, but hopefully we'll get there one day. But yeah, also excited that the show's back. Excited that we got playoff football on the TV. So yeah, it's a great time of year, man. I feel like everybody else gets weaker in the winter, but I only get stronger. You know what I mean? I'm warm-blooded, so I'm built for this. So yeah. How about you, bro? One good thing from your past week, month, whatever.
It's funny because I was telling you backstage, I was like, man, I don't know. It's such a simple thing, but hard at the same time. I was like, one good thing. I was like, of course, I'm happy about the show coming back. But then you just mentioned the playoffs, bro. The Lions, bro. But real quick, I wanted Brando said in the back chats, he's like, Link, you experienced your first Lions playoffs win in your lifetime. Correction, bro. I've experienced two. I was about 2 years old the last time they won a playoff game, but I've experienced more than one. I just wanted to throw that out there. But no, I'm super happy, bro. Bro, I was watching like the local news, and it was a very emotional event for Detroiters down here, man. Like,
look, I saw the sideline. We had Eminem, we had Big Sean, we had Barry Sanders, we had everybody that was ever anybody in Detroit was on the sideline for that game, man. And yeah, I'd like shout out to y'all. Yeah. Y'all got up early. They came back. I thought Stafford was going to beat you with an amputated finger, but you guys held on and got that dub. And shout out to Dan Campbell. I love your coach. I love that team. I love that energy. So yeah, wishing y'all
great
the best moving forward, man. Yeah, but congrats, bro. Big win.
But big win. Another good thing I would say, I'm happy that if you know me, you know I love 28 Days Later, which we're covering on Blood Splatter Chatter this Thursday. Check it out. Yes. But they just announced that they're fine. Like, there's been talks of it, like in some sorts of development over the years, but they finally announced that there's going to be a sequel to 28 Days Later, and of course 28 Weeks Later. Of course, they have to fit in there. But Danny Boyle, the director, Alex Garland, the writer of the first film, are both attached to it, and I'm just very ecstatic. It might not seem like it, but I am. That's what's one of my. I always like to say it's not only one of my favorite horror films, but it's one of my favorite films of all time. So I'm very excited to see this pairing back together. It's been a minute, so.
Oh yeah, bro! Great stuff. All right, let's move into our next segment. What we are watching. Oh, I got it all the way back. All right, what we're watching. Where we're highlighting shows, movies, music, video games, anything we've been doing, in the past week or so when we get together. Of course, we both agreed on this one. Fargo season 5 has been a revelation for me. I caught
Yes.
Like the first season, I don't know which one the Billy Bob Thornton one was, but that was
The first
that
season.
was
Yeah.
man, that was incredible as well. But this one has been, yeah, I fell asleep last season or this, like I think 3 and 4 I haven't watched, but this one
Yeah.
I decided to give a go, and it's been incredible. Largely led by John Hamm and Juno Temple. These two have been forces of nature in their roles. Basically, the show is a battle for this woman and her right to freedom and trying to escape her past and forge her own way. And it starts off with that crazy ass scene in the school auditorium. She electroshocks a teacher, gets charged, and her name pops up in the system, and it all kind of goes downhill from there. And it's been a crazy, wild ass ride from episode 1. A crazy, awesome ensemble cast. Of course, Juno Temple. I'm not a Ted Lasso fan. I know a lot of people are. I know she's in that show, and she's amazing in that as well as Dorothy Lyon in this. Go ahead.
But the watchers, the viewers out there know, like, I watched Ted Lasso. I enjoy that show very much. It's a great show, and it took for Stu to tell me last night, like, yo, yeah, she's in Ted Lasso. I was like, who? He's like, the main girl from Fargo. I was like, I didn't realize it. I didn't piece it together until you told me that. But man, like after realizing that, even more props to her. I love when I can, like, an actor can like step out of a role. You might not. I don't want to say I wasn't thinking she wasn't capable, but it's like that role. She's growing. Her character's grown over the seasons, but initially it didn't really offer too much. She's kind of like a ditzy girl. She's deeper than that as the seasons go on, but for her to be the, like, she's the lead essentially.
She's
Her
a
and John
warrior.
Hamm are the
She's
lead.
and she's a straight warrior. And how she's British and she nails this Midwestern accent and this persona is uncanny, dude.
I'll tell you what, I don't like.
Crazy.
We got any UK viewers out there? I don't like how you guys can imitate our state's
Oh my
accents.
god! Some of them, it's just like so much. They do better than Americans would do. I feel like it's crazy.
Yeah. You guys put us to shame.
I don't know what it is about the tongue, but yeah, like her accent is not missing a beat. I feel like it, and like the amount of like physicals, like her physical acting in this, the amount of like harrowing physical situations she puts herself through is crazy. Even like halfway through the season, I think so.
There's I won't spoil anything for people who haven't seen it, but there's a scene at the like the first 2 episodes or so. I want to say it might be the first episode, definitely the first 2. But it's a gas station shootout, and it just shows how capable this woman's almost like a John McClane. Like she could be like a Bruce Willis and Die Hard type of situation. You just put her in the fire, and she's gonna find her way out, bro. Like,
yeah,
but great cast, man. Dave Foley.
Dave Foley as Danish Graves was one of my favorites. From what was this sketch comedy show? Jesus, I forget. News Radio. Dave Foley's a legend, and like he's so perfect in this role. Lamorne Morris from New Girl. He's great.
Yo, I thought that was him, but I couldn't put my finger on it because he looks older. I know that New Girl started and ended a while ago, but snap, that's so dope.
Yeah, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Of course, like any 80s, 90s baby knows Jennifer Jason Leigh, and then Joe Keery is so great as Steve from Stranger Things, but of course as Gator he's so good in this role. He's one of my favorites. As Absolutely. John Hamm's like fractured toxic male, like and this the toxic male, the amount of toxic masculinity that passes from John Hamm to Gator or to Joe Keery's character in this is and just how he's trying to figure out his place in the world. I love that scene when he's waking up. I'm a fucking winner, and he's just he's always putting himself up in the mirror. It's just so brilliant.
It reminds me of me, but I was like, God damn, he's always hitting that vape, And I was like, meanwhile, here I am, but yeah, Joe Carey, however you pronounce his name, fantastic. He was great in Stranger Things, bro. But like I said, I love it when I can see like this show in particular has a way of like bringing out different sides and actors you didn't know,
Yeah.
they had those depths that they were capable of.
I
So I
love
was
it. Like, the son that is never quite like achieved, anything in his father's eyes. He's always striving. And then like how she breaks him down. Like, I don't want to get into too much, but how she breaks him down with like, knowledge of his past and stuff like that, and how he shows his vulnerability. He's just that kid has got such a high ceiling, I feel like, as an actor. Just, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's got a great, like we said, a great ensemble cast. Like I said before, back in those December episodes, FX is doing great things, I think, with television and programming and some of the shows they're putting out. So I highly recommend you guys check out some of their stuff. One other thing I wanted to talk about was Apple TV. Monarch Legacy of Monsters has been incredible. Got Kurt Russell and I forget what his
Wyatt
Russell. Wyatt. Yeah, as Shaw, as two versions, two older and younger versions of the same character here in the show. It's been a dope. I feel like it's been better than the over the top Kong and Godzilla movies. I feel like it's been more focused character study and giving you a more human point of view, and it's been really enjoyable. Shout out to Matt Fraction. Matt Fraction is the whole reason.
Our boy.
He's the showrunner. Yeah. He was originally just pitched this to them in an email, to Legendary in an email. I heard in this interview he did on the World Balloon podcast. It ended up. He said, I think in the interview a couple months ago, it had been 5 years to the day where he had originally pitched the email, and it became this giant thing where he became the showrunner on it. But it's fantastic. So it goes like I think a lot of the good ones do these days. It goes between past and present, and it narrates that very well. With the different sets of characters, and a different, and it introduces new things into the MonsterVerse and all that stuff that they're trying to develop. It has new monsters.
I like it.
It has legit special effects. Like, it doesn't take any shortcuts on that. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I like that. How they're building out the mythology of the legend verse. It's like the legend verse can be like the blockbuster action. This has some good action, but I haven't finished all of it. But this can be like the in between. It fills in the cracks that makes all the other big movies kind of gel together and stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's been a wild, fun ride so far. The finale just premiered this week or last week, so y'all make sure you check it out. Another one I've been enjoying on Apple TV, For All Mankind. It kind of examines if the space race went different, and it never kind of went on the back burner. It was, the U.S. It imagines that Russia got to the moon first, and it kind of takes off from there. And the U.S. doesn't take their foot off the gas when it comes to the space race, so it becomes like a race to establish a moon or a base on the moon, then a military base on the moon, and then eventually go to Mars. And it follows these characters and their families through it. It's been phenomenal so far. I'm in like season 2, but season 1 I highly recommend. I gotta say, I got the Apple TV 3-month free subscription about a month ago, dude, and I'm gonna keep it. Apple TV, the amount of like great shows I've already watched on here, it definitely feels like worth the subscription, and I wouldn't mind dropping something else to keep it. I gotta say their programming is pretty quality. I know nobody's looking for a new streamer or a new service to buy, but if you guys come across that or you feel like you want to check out new programming, I highly recommend Apple TV. Anyway, that's my bit on the programming, bro. I was gonna let you go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking of there's a cool. It's not like something that's gonna blow your mind, but it's a cool little sci-fi show. Like I always get it confused with The Expanse. The Foundation, I believe it is called. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty got a cool.
I haven't seen that, but I watched Silo on there. Silo was dope. It's about this like
that's good.
a post-nuclear apocalyptic civilization where everybody lives in these underground. Well, not like we find out later that it's every. I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, everybody's in an underground society, and people are trying to figure out the history of before that, and it's like 140 years after a nuclear apocalypse laid waste to everything surface side, and so everybody's
So
underground.
kind of like a prequel to Fallout.
In a way, yeah.
Okay. Oh, have you seen? Did you watch Severance?
Severance is I love
Yeah.
Severance. Severance was
Okay.
one I got onto early off the recommendation of a friend. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Severance is yeah.
That
So
was one of my
you guys check out Apple TV. But bro, go ahead and talk about your video game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, this is just something I purchased recently, man. I was I know you said backstage you're a big fan of the first one. I was also a very big fan of the first one.
Fucking badass.
I really, man, it's just it's a good game. It's a great game, but it's a great story as well. Like to the point where it's like I want to see Kel integrated into the live action universe in some sort of way. Like he's got a cool droid. Beatty, I think is his name. But
Yeah.
he's just a cool character, bro. Like, and
Yes.
this game is it's one of those those examples where the sequel just it's not amazing. This is not shitting on the first one, but it just fine tunes it. You know, everything that was kind of slacking in the first one, from Call of Duty 4 to Modern Warfare 2, Mass Effect to Mass Effect 2. I think I felt like the combat. I know they're going for like a more of a Dark Souls roguelike experience in the first one. I felt like they kind of pulled back on that just a little bit in this one, and which I think it works. It works better in my opinion. But makes the combat it's a little smoother. It flows a little better.
Yeah, bro. Cal Kestis, and look, he looks like he got a clean cut. My boy's outfit, like he looks like he glowed up all the way. Look at his fit, look crazy, like he's out here.
You can customize the shit out of Kel, bro. Like you can give him like a mullet, you can give him like shaggy hair, like bald, like a beard, a goatee. Like yeah, I got my Kel's got a beard right now, and he's got like slick back hair,
Bro,
because
I
I
love my
figure
time.
he's a man on
What were the witches called in the first game? And they're in the show too. Forgive me, Star Wars. Man, I wanted to spend more time out there, bro. You know what I mean? Like that was. I like my time in the desert. Hell yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to play this game though. I love the first one. So and everything I've read, it picks up from where the first one left off. There's not too much lag and you know what I mean. So like you can build upon the moves you've already acquired. Type thing. Is that accurate?
I don't know you started off, you don't have to learn, like sometimes games was like I learned all that in the first game, why do I have to relearn it in the second game? It's like they don't do that in this one. You just kind of improve upon yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, definitely worth it. Not to get into too much of a tangent and insult any Baldur's Gate 3 fans out there, but it's like when you got games like this, Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, I'm sorry, I don't see how that won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, but that's just a little. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I mean, the first one was just so much fun playing, and it had so much explorability, and I don't know, it was just a joy to play like all the time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting around to that one. Hell yeah! All right, so moving on. I thought we'd get into our two. We're just going to cover two comics from the last week or so, and then we're going to get into our Marvel Knight stuff. But yeah, dude, I confess though, I haven't read this one, but I can share my joy over these covers, brother. Good Lord. Zoro by the great Sean Gordon Murphy. Look at this Lee Bermejo on the right, man. We were talking about it backstage. Absolutely insane cover right there. Yeah, this one, dude, this one had very, very few misses when it came to the covers. I mean, look at all these are crazy. There's a Matteo Scalera on the left. I forget who that is on the right. I know that's Raphael Albuquerque on the Joe Quesada on the left. Raphael Albuquerque on the right. I mean, dude, these are gorgeous, man. That Quesada black and white is nuts.
Yeah. Classic, very, very classic.
And then I think that's Rianne Duke, or I think that's Rianne Duke, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I don't know why.
Or
but yeah,
DK Ron, I think is
Rian. Yeah, you're probably saying that name much better than I am. Man, yeah, but a gorgeous set of covers. I don't know, but all right. So you're gonna jump off right when we're gonna get into the comic that I haven't read. Anyway, it looks beautiful.
No. Sorry. I realize my door is open. Background noise.
You're good. You're good, bro. I'm fucking with you. Yeah, you enjoyed it. Everyone seems to have enjoyed this one so far.
Yeah.
I know Nick liked it. Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah, it was cool. Cool little updated take on Zoro. Killer art by Sean Gordon Murphy. And it was a fun, cool comic. It's very Batman-ish, as Sean Gordon Murphy is familiar with. There's a character in here that is crazy. When I first saw him, I was like, man, that looks just like Danny Trejo. And then like a few panels later, it was revealed his name is Trejo. So clearly that's what Sean Gordon was going for. But yeah, it was just a fun comic, man. It opens up with like this town in Mexico is ran by the cartel, but they try to be on up and up when they can, and it's like they're celebrating this certain day, and the cartel leader does not like that, and so to set an example, he killed, I don't know what there's the dude at the beginning of the comic, Zoro. I don't know, I think he was an actor or like a fencer, but he's dressed in as Zoro, but he gets killed as an example. And it fast forwards to like years later, and the Zoro actor had 2 kids, and the kids are all grown up. They grew up separately, and it opens up with like their lives. It kind of focuses. It's a son and daughter, but it focuses more on the daughter, but right there in the orange, and the son actually is that Zoro dude right there. But yeah, it explains Zoro, of course, but it was a cool little first issue. Nothing too deep, breezy read.
Great art. Yeah, some great pages throughout. To keep your attention. I always love the way he does action since way back. I think he does great action.
Yeah,
he's a very kinetic artist when he wants to be. Didn't he do Tokyo Ghost with Remender?
He did, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I gotta read this one though, man. This one. I love how he sent dude back with the Z on his chest. And like I love how it's modern, but we still get elements of the old Zoro in it. I grew up watching grew up loving Zoro. My mom was like old school with a lot of that stuff. So oh yeah.
Who do you think could play a new Zoro if they were to do it like nowadays? Like,
I don't even want to say Pedro Pascal, but like I feel like that's I don't know. Like that's a cop out.
I do.
But I don't know, man.
I don't know.
That one for a minute. Let me marinate on that one.
Pedro Pascal is like 35 now. We got to get someone who's maybe like late 20s or early 30s at the earliest. I was thinking more like mid 30s, maybe early 40s. But it's because I'm just thinking realistically, if they were to announce like a Zorro movie tomorrow with Pedro Pascal, my man's would be
he's too old. He's too old. You're right. We need somebody younger in their 20s, and Banderas as the older. Banderas as the Anthony Hopkins. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's time for that. So yeah. I agree with Bobby. Steph, you would make a good Zoro, bro. Oh wait, that's Nick. You make a good Zoro, my friend.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, let me go ahead and take this moment to shout out everybody in the chat. Let me go up here. We got my man Taki. What up, Talk? Brother Joe, Big Herm, Sal. Who else? Nick. I already set it up. Nick. My man Verno. Verno, what up? Thank y'all all for coming through and spending time with us. Kids in the Hall. That's what it was. Dave Foley. Dude, I pinch his head. I pinch. Anybody remember that? I do that with my daughter. I do Kids in the Hall skits with my daughter. I love that show. Two Gun Pedro. Pedro, thank you for hanging out, brother. Thank you for all the support across all the PCP channels that you. John, what a great show we just had. That was so much fun. I think he's over on JP. My man Fable. Fable, what up, brother? All right, I think we got to everybody. Thank you all for coming through and spending time with us. We hope you're enjoying the new show. All right, so Zoro's down. Let's get to the one that is $45 for issue 1. Ultimate Spidey #1, the one that we're all talking about. Hickman at its finest. I feel like what a great first issue. Everything I could have wanted.
General
thoughts, my man.
I was gonna say Hickman, we trust, bro. Like, you know, I even like his you know, X-Men in the long run wasn't his fault. I'm sure if we would, you know, we won't get into this, but if Marvel would have let him tell his story, I'm sure it would have had like a different flavor, a taste for the Krakoan era. But yeah, I didn't see this crazy $45 for issue 1 coming, but I thought I kind of I don't know. I felt like this was a good thing. Like it was kind of out of people didn't really associate Hickman with the
my bad.
With
Chill,
a street level
I didn't see you. My bad.
And
sorry,
no, you're good. But Hickman, he's a man, bro.
Yeah, man.
This is like, I feel like this is Ultimate Invasion. Now that we know that it was like a Donny Cates story initially, I can kind of like take that off of Hickman's shoulders for why it didn't really hit how I felt like it should have hit. But I feel like this is like the start of the rebirth of the Ultimate Universe, like in terms of what it was when it debuted back in 2000. It's like, I would be surprised if in 5 years' time that 616 Peter Parker is married with kids. Somehow there's like a Mephisto situation, like with Vision and Wanda's kids, how Billy and Tommy were somehow out there, but they're not really. That shit's still confusing. But I'm sure it'll be something like that, where Mary Jane and Peter have had kids, but Mephisto took away their memory of it, or something, or maybe they'll finally have a baby, kind of like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones did for a while. Where Danielle was just a little bitty baby for years. But I think this was a cool. It felt like the Ultimate Universe. Like it was like familiar, so it was just an excellent comic. Some great character bits, bro. Some interesting character developments for a first issue. I'm just gonna say right now, I think I could see Uncle Ben becoming the ultimate Mr. Negative in this universe. I think that'll kind of be like a spin on the whole how Miles had to fight his uncle as the Prowler.
We just got him back, bro. Why are you trying to take him away from us already? We just got that man back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the whole white suit he was rocking in the first. I was just like, man, all you got to do is put the negative coloring on him, and that's Mr. Negative.
Man, you're terrible.
But it was a great comic. I dug the whole the friendship between Ben and Jonah. It's just a great comic. There's a cool little moment where Jonah's talking to Peter, and it's like he forgot his tie, and he's like putting it on for him, and he's being kind of a dick, but at the same time, you can tell it's like tough love, and it was cool. There's a lot of cool little moments in this book.
Dude, yeah.
One of my favorite moments.
To me, Jonah's character development in this was like my favorite part of it. Like, is just like how, and I love how Ben was introduced with him screaming Parker. you know, and it went into
Parker. Yeah.
yeah, and it just got like, and then you see Uncle Ben's office. Like that was such a great moment. Like so many great, you know, fill in the holes, fill in the gaps, like moments like that for Hickman, where these characters fall like completely. Like I just love how he reinvented it, and like you said, like so aptly, I feel like it does feel like the Ultimate Universe the first time you read it. Like this is something different. This is, you know, this is what you should expect out of the Ultimate Universe, and it felt that way like all the way through. And I thought it was flawless. I thought it really didn't have any misses. I thought all the beats were perfect. It did everything right. I mean, Mary Jane, my lord.
That's how you.
Yeah, dude. Just like for so like Spider-Man's, you know, Spider-Man's never been my guy, and I know he's some people's everything, but at the same time,
Respect.
I grew up in the '90s where I saw, you know, friends of mine who were diehard fans, like, you know, vote on the baby name and like, you know, opine for his happiness, and just to see that like finally realized in this way, and like how he's settled and he's good. Like, there's no like I know there's gonna be,
There's
you
no
know, we're gonna
downfall.
get there, but there's like he's secure right now and he's happy, and
Right.
he's okay with boring. Like that was beautiful to see for somebody whose life has been turmoil, and like who they had not had let had a moment of peace for however long. I just think it's crazy, like you know, fans have never gotten that. So to see this in some type of form, even though you know it's gonna get torn asunder in the worst fucking possible ways, I'm sure. It
Parker
was
Luck.
great. It was great to have this moment. It was great to have Uncle Ben back that way. It was great to have Jonah as like the positive, like, you know, like you said, the time moment was beautiful. Let me see if I can find that. But yeah, man, I just thought Jonah and Ben's dynamic, them, you know, the paper getting bought out by Kingpin, them ultimately quitting and deciding to start their own thing. I love this introduction. Harry looks cool as fuck. I'm assuming that's
You
Harry.
got
You
the
know what I mean?
fucking
Yeah, he looks great.
we got Spider-Man or the Raimi Spider-Man Green Goblin making an appearance finally, bro. That was super dope. Like Power
Yeah.
Ranger Green Goblin.
He looks great, I thought. Like
Yeah, man.
Chicago came through all the way, I thought. Like
Oh
in this
yeah.
this
Yeah.
I love how this one wasn't heavy on that. Like this is like, can you imagine what like he's really gonna get into when he gets his powers and really starts to flex, and we just got a hint of it here at the end with I love the shot with the birds. Like, when in doubt, put some fucking birds in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit looks so dynamic and awesome. I can't wait to see where Chicago goes with it, and of course where Hickman goes with it. The ultimate architect. I mean, what else can you say about the guy? The guy's a magician.
Yeah.
So, and this one seems, of all the ones I've read, of all, you know, of all the ultimate offerings and everything that's come out since his X-Men days, and like his new arrival back in Marvel, this has like been the one for me where I was like, man,
Yeah.
this thing had no moments of weakness. I love this conversation where it starts to like, you know, things are still solid, but it's just like you feel like all you're going to really get is an issue with them. You know, it's like, all right, well, he had this family for however many years, but now things are going to change. And you know,
No, it messed me up, man, because
and her asking him if things are, you know, nothing's going to change between us, right? And him assuring her that it's just like, man, it just, even like I said, I'm not a diehard Spidey guy, but shit, you just.
how Mary Jane was written in this made me have a crush on her, bro. Because she's just like, well, it's not gonna change anything between us, right? She's like, well, we're good then, like do what you got to do. It's like, God dang, Mary Jane, like, man, I was gonna say, like, why is Mary Jane like I for whatever reason I always kind of associated Peter Parker, Mary Jane being in their like early 40s. I don't know why. But when I thought, I was like, dang, Mary Jane's kind of, she's got some spice to her, Even though I know that's not the rare case, but then it was like, Peter Parker's like my age in this shit, bro, and that kind of scared me a little bit. I'm not used to that because it was like I think they said like 20 years ago you're supposed to be bitten by a spider. So, and I was thinking he had to be like,
What do you think
14,
his age
15.
is?
So
What do you think his age is in this?
he's got to be like
I
34
feel
to
like he's
37.
like mid
Right.
to late 30s, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, man.
Blew me away.
Yeah, it was incredible. I thought it was just so well done. So shout out to him. Yeah, and of course, like, and
Yeah,
it's
fuck
crazy
yeah.
that Tony Stark is kind of known as like a genocidal maniac in this world, and yet he appears to him and offers him the spider, and he still like has that feeling that like something's not right, something's not realized in his life, and I just love these last two pages and where it where it hints at where we're going, but
Yeah.
and Ben telling him in that top panel, then wake up, stop sleeping, wake up.
Live your life.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be so. Shout out to that team. Incredible stuff. Can't wait to see where it goes. Ultimate Spidey #1. If you missed out, you're at least $50.
Man, that'll
$50
drop. I don't know
more if
why
you want number. Yeah, it will.
that people are.
It's
Man.
awesome though. Like we were saying in the back chat, I was talking to the guys at my LCS, and they said all the copies they had sold out by the end of business Wednesday. So I'm glad that a book is.
I'm glad.
That's the honestly looking at we got Transformers, that book, and now what's it called, the Wildcats that everybody's going crazy for. I'm glad that books are driving people into comic books like that. It does worry me that like it's going to turn into some speculator boom sometimes, but I guess that's just the 90s in me. I don't know. When the speculators and the collectors get like super excited, I get nervous, but
there is always like there's always like a handful of issues per year that everyone's trying to track down, and they're more than their cover price. So it's like, I don't know why I'm shocked. I guess this is one of those comics this year, but there's always a handful of comics.
And it's I love the cover. It's a great classic cover. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those classic images, and that will my boy on Instagram, Luis Eats Comics, like said, it's a classic ultimate image that's going to live forever as one of those classic covers, and I completely agree with that. So yeah, I did like that Nick Klein variant. Where is it? Yeah, that Nick Klein variant right there on the left. I thought that was fire. How quick do you think he's going to get the suit? You think he's going to get the suit next issue? Like, I don't know. How quick do you think we're moving here?
I mean, I feel like he had the suit by the end of the first issue.
Yeah, but I didn't know if that was like real or like. How did he get the suit?
Well, I mean, good question. Because I just kind of assumed.
I didn't know if that was like real or metaphorical. Like he was standing on the rooftop and he was opening the thing, but then it was like the next shot was hit like Spidey. So I didn't know it was like he was metaphorically becoming Spidey, or you know what I'm saying?
Did like the maker, and since he didn't become Spider-Man, like it was like, did the maker have another spider suit waiting on standby for him that Iron Lad stole and was keeping? That's I didn't really think about that. So he's probably not in a suit. So I don't think because I remember it took like a whole arc for actually Miles almost as well, for Miles and Peter in the Ultimate runs to get their suits. I don't think it'll take that long. Yeah. I don't really think they're writing for trade too much nowadays like they were back then. So I feel like maybe by like issue 3 he'll get a suit if he's not already got it.
Yeah. Word. All right. So now I feel like, just to introduce our new segment, I feel like everybody has got new comics of the week type content. So we wanted to, Lynk and I both wanted to focus on some throwback stuff, and particularly an era that we both love, Marvel in the 2000s, particularly the early 2000s. I figured we would start there. It's such a great era for comics and Marvel comics especially. But yeah, I thought we would start tonight with the Quesada Palmiotti kind of handover in Marvel Knights. I thought that was it's a period of time that had a lot of great titles come out of it, and I thought it would be a great touchstone, I guess, or point in history to kind of move out from moving forward. So yeah, Marvel Knights. All right, how did we get here? June of 1997, Marvel declares bankruptcy in 96. June of 97, the dust settles on their bankruptcy and the battle control for the company. Avi Arad, who was, we all know from Spider-Man fame and the early Marvel Studios guy, was oddly enough he was on the boards of both Marvel and Toy Biz. So Toy Biz was kind of always scheming to get control of Marvel. But at this point, the bankruptcy courts moved forward. They gave the bondholders control of the Marvel board. They named Carl Icahn chairman, and he in turn names Joe Calamari president. Joe Calamari is kind of like a washed-up ex-Marvel exec. I want to shout out a couple sources here. There's a great oral history of the Marvel Knights on Marvel.com that I highly recommend everybody read. It goes through not just the history of Marvel Knights, but like the Daredevil title, the wild ass Punisher title where he had the angelic guns, and we had Bernie Wrightson and Joe Jusko, like that we're going to get to that anyway. Also in Humans with Jay Lee, there's some great Jay Lee stories on that oral history, but it's all from Moral.com. If you just Google oral history of Marvel Knights, it should pop up on the first link. I highly recommend that. First of all, that was a great source for me. And also, of course, Marvel, this book right here. Oh, wait. Yeah. Marvel Comics, Untold Story by Sean Howe. This book has been a great resource for me throughout the years. There's a couple great Marvel books out there. This is definitely one of them. So if you guys are looking for a good history of the Marvel Comics, I highly recommend this one. Anyway, so Joe Calamari is appointed Marvel president. This guy's nickname is literally Joey Squid, with Joe Calamari in his last name. In a quest to lure up-and-coming talent to Marvel, he turned to Wizard, the magazine company that a lot of people think was synonymous with the rise of the speculator boom back then. Their publisher at the time, Gareb Shamus, recommended that they talk to Joe Quesada or that Calamari talked to Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti, who at the time had launched to form their own company, Event Comics. They had launched a number of successful titles off of that, including Ash and Painkiller Jane. So up at the top here, we got a bunch of rich white men. There on the time cover is Carl Icahn. Icahn was basically an investor, the guy who took over Marvel initially after the bankruptcy settled. He was initially an investor. He wanted to build up the movie properties and flip it for a quick buck. That's what he was in it for. And that's why he named Calamari president. It was kind of like Calamari was like dead on with some things, and other things he was like bizarrely off. So, but this was one of the things he got right. Because we'll get to it later, but Marvel Knights that line ended up taking off with the success of Blade at the same time, and it was just off the races from there. Anyway, we got Calamari there to the right of him, and then here with Stan Lee is the Wizard editor or publisher Gareb Shamus, who recommended Palmiotti and Quesada to Calamari. Anyway, Joe Quesada goes to the first dinner with Calamari alone. They love each other. He brings Palmiotti back for the second dinner. They hit it off, and they say, make us co-editors in chief, and we'll fix your company. He laughs and tells them to fuck off, of course, but it got their foot in the door. Here I got Ash. This is Quesada and Palmiotti's comics off of Event. This was two of their hits, Ash and Painkiller Jane. Ash was a firefighter who got his superpowers through like a time displacement device and like a fire. I think Quesada had
Absolutely.
Quesada had members of his family who were firefighters. That book was dedicated to firefighters, and that was kind of like the brand of the company. Like Ash was at well, you'll see later, but Ash was on the logo for that. Painkiller Jane was Paul Miati's book. He's still doing that in some or like he's got
It was
more
a
current.
show, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he had that developed for something or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the whole history on it, but
Sci-fi.
he's had more recent versions and interpretations of that than Quesada has had with Ash. But yeah, this is some artwork from some Quesada artwork from Ash number 1 and 2, I believe. I mean,
Nice.
it's what you it's what you would expect from Joe, but it's dope. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Callum Marty, like I said, Callum Marty took to him. They said, make us co-editors. So they were just coming off of Heroes Reborn with Lee and Liefeld. Um, and though they didn't give him like Lee and Liefeld dollars, they gave him enough money and they gave him, 4 titles that they could, I think, bear to to leave them with creative freedom to. Like, you know what I mean? They were kind of B and C characters, not to downgrade Daredevil or Punisher or like any of them in any shape or form.
No, absolutely.
But that's how Marvel viewed it. But yeah, they got their 4. Um, and it was crazy because one of their requests was that they have a office at Marvel Editorial and that they interact with the staff. They wanted to be Marvel guys, but they put them in the penthouse, which was like I think above the executives. So there was like Marvel editorial, then there was like the executives, then there was the penthouse where the Marvel Knights guys were, and so it kind of separated them. And despite like the concessions they tried to make, they had a hard time breaking into. And also, Marvel had just gone through bankruptcy, and then they had gone through Heroes Reborn. So a lot of people, long timers there, lifers there, were bitter, and rightfully so.
Very
That
genuine.
again, here were 2 creatives who are coming in thinking they're hot shit, getting all the money, the big budgets. But I don't know, the money they did get allowed them to pay for state of the art digital coloring, which you can see throughout their books, and attract top talent, which I think that was their best call. They knew, despite being artists and creators in their own right, they knew who to put on these books, and I think they were brilliant calls. Besides Punisher, which they got wrong, but they corrected after 4 issues and put Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon on for one of the all-time similar runs of the character. But you look at Priest and Tex on Black Panther was lights out, lights out. Inhumans had Jay Lee and Paul Jenkins. Paul Jenkins, the great writer, and Jay Lee, they kept on schedule. And of course, Kevin Smith's Daredevil, even though it didn't always make the deadlines, that was like their whole selling point getting into the company. So, and 3 out of those 4 were hits. So, yeah, I agree, Sal. And Humans was epic. I just reread that recently. We're going to cover the whole Inhumans saga on one episode. There's some crazy stories that one of the editors for Marvel Knights ended up being Joe Quesada's wife, Nancy DeKesia, and there's some crazy stories of her trying to get pages from Jay Lee on time and deadlines, and him ducking her and her driving out to his house, and I can't wait to get into it. There's some great lore there. Again, that's on the oral history of the Marvel Knights if y'all want to check that out. But yeah, so they got these, they requested these 4 titles. They got these 4 titles, and put these incredible creative teams on each, and for the most part, Punisher had 2 of their friends. I forget their names. Forgive me, but it had Bernie Wrightson on pencils, and Bernie Wrightson and Joe Jusko doing like painted. He was doing like paint overs of Bernie Wrightson pencils for some of those covers, which were incredible. However, the premise was super flawed. It was just Punisher committed suicide and then was like some angelic, force of nature. It just was way off for the character, and it didn't work, and it got panned badly. But they they reversed course quickly enough that it wasn't really an issue when it came to getting um, Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon on the show. Anyway, I wanted to start with how they got their foot in the door, which was Kevin Smith writing a Daredevil book. And I stole this clip from Sci-Fi. They had this great little intro about how this came to be. So I'm gonna play this real quick while my bro Link is still offline, and we'll enjoy this together.
The Devil of Hell's Kitchen was on the verge of cancellation when Kevin Smith essentially saved the character. So how did Kevin Smith, the indie filmmaker behind Clerks and Chasing Amy, not only save Daredevil from cancellation, but in the process put the comics industry on Hollywood's radar? It all started with the two founders of Marvel Knights, Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada.
So the boys, I had met them on Mallrats. They did opening artwork of Jay and Silent Bob with Ash behind them for the credit sequence. And the boys were also in Chasing Amy, Jimmy and Joe. They knew that I liked Miller's Daredevil. Whenever we geeked out about comics, that always came up.
Frank Miller occupies a very special place in the Daredevil pantheon. Before he redefined Batman with The Dark Knight Returns, he did the same thing for Daredevil.
So I get a call from Joe Quesada at one point going like, hey, we got these titles. Like Marvel's letting me and Jimmy run this. The lunatics are taking over the asylum. And I know you've always said that you love Daredevil, Miller's run on Daredevil. How would you like to do it? And I was like, oh my God, I would love to. Yes. Yo, yeah, that would be so fun. I say yes to everything.
At first, it seemed like Smith's excitement may have gotten the best of him. He was in the middle of production on Dogma and missed the deadline for turning in his first Daredevil script. Then the second, then the third deadline. At that point, the filmmaker decided it was time to bow out.
So I called up Joe Quesada. I was like, hey man, I was already late, like a month late. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. Like, I just don't, I got so much going on. I don't want to go anywhere near the character. Frank Miller defined it. Most people are gonna like tell me I suck at it and stuff. And he was like, oh, well, it's a bummer, man. I'm really disappointed. He's going, but like, I guess I understand. So I said, thanks, and he hung up. 20 minutes later, I got a phone call from Jimmy Palmiotti, and the tone of it was completely different from Joe. Jimmy Palmiotti's call was, you fucking piece of shit. You said yes, and we were counting on you, man. And you call up and say you can't do it because you're afraid you're not gonna be Frank Miller? Fuck you, nobody's Frank Miller. Go undo the book. Like you said you wanted to do it, man. Don't let Joe's brokenhearted over here and stuff. And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. You're right. I didn't mean to doubt myself.
It might have been a little saucy. I wasn't looking at it as this is Kevin Smith, the film director. I was like, I looked at it as this is our buddy who's gonna write the book. We got him the job. And now he's backing out because he doesn't have an idea.
He gave me the old coach locker room, come on, and smacked me across the face.
The problem I had was that we sold Marvel Knights, part of it, the fact that Kevin was going to be doing Daredevil. That was part of our initial pitch, was that. So we had a lot of stuff writing on the fact that Kevin was doing Daredevil. Well, obviously the call worked because the next day he had an idea, and that was Guardian Devil, and what a great idea.
So I was watching this movie called God Told Me To. And, the subject matter of it is about some killer that thinks they're being controlled by God or something like that. So when he called, I was watching that. So I was like, hey man, all right, well, what if we did a story? What if it was like Guardian Devil? Like the idea where Matt is given like the savior, the next Christ to take care of, and there are dark forces going on. And Jimmy was like, fine, whatever. You see, you're writing. Just do that. And I was all right. And that's how Daredevil began.
So yeah, so that's a little. I'm glad we didn't get cut off for that. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, so that's how we got Guardian Daredevil. But yeah, even though he missed mad deadlines, I enjoyed this story. I think it set the table for Marvel Knights moving forward. Dude, the Quesada artwork throughout is crazy, and the fact that it kind of went from I guess I liked it more towards the end when it got into the not to spoilers everybody, into the Mysterio reveal rather than the beginning with the child of Christ and Karen Page having AIDS and all that. But so many incredible moments by Quesada, I thought. And Palmiotti, and of
I
course, like the whole team. But go ahead, bro. Sorry.
I can just imagine that panel or the page where he's on the steps with the nun. I like the original art for that, bro. I'm sure is sick.
Oh
Like
my
I can just
God,
imagine.
right? Absolutely. With the China's arm, yeah. Love Bullseye. Love the Bullseye kill scene he comes out to in the church with just everybody with forks and whatever sticking out of them. Like just so great, dude. So great. And again, like another very Daredevil, like a Miller Mazzucchellian angle right there with the just like he had like with the on the church steps. I love the black and red when Karen gets hit. Of course her death was a crazy big part of this, but Mysterio is my favorite part of this series.
Yeah.
That cover I feel like is one of the all-time greats. And I just love his purples and like his greens and just the way he did his artwork here. And Matt, went through so much with this child, and him walking out with Mysterio finally defeated and holding on to the baby at the end, I thought was so poetic and great. Anyway, like I was saying, I want to just read this real quick from the book. Yeah. All right. So, Toy Business seizure of Marvel could not come in a more opportune moment. In early August, New Line Cinema released Blade. Although the Vampire Slayer from Tomb of Dracula never had more than a cult following in the comics, the Wesley Snipes vehicle earned $70 million, 4 times the intake of the much higher budget Howard the Duck. Blade had been in development for over a decade. And because Marvel had given away so much licensing, they only got $25K from that movie, which is fucking
From
nuts.
Blade.
From Blade, that's all they got was $25K. But despite that, there was proof that Marvel Comics characters were viable as film franchises. As Avi Arad said, Blade was the least likely to succeed. That was the first time it seemed clear to Hollywood that the Marvel franchise was something special. So weeks later, we're talking weeks after Blade, the Marvel Knights line launched with Kevin Smith's Daredevil garnering attention from the mainstream media attention and development executives. Quesada and Palmiotti had both worked in advertising. They put their marketing skills to work in a grassroots full court press. They traveled the country, shook hands at conventions, signed a gallery, showed up on MTV. They showed up to Wizard Magazine and outlined the press tour they wanted to do for the next 6 months. They trade favors for art, for magazines, all that stuff. So I think they just met all the right people, shook all the right hands. They were in the social scene with Hollywood, and I think they, just as much as anybody else, had such a hand in ensuring Marvel's success moving forward. But yeah, bro. Anything you want to say about Daredevil? I'm sorry for the.
Oh no.
For not letting you.
That was no, shit. I had fun. I've never seen that video before, so it was like a little history course for me because I was gonna say that I didn't read the Kevin Smith Quesada stuff until after I had read the Bendis stuff. So like I had known about Marvel. I didn't read the Quesada stuff.
It was
shortly after. I had known about the Marvel Knights line for years, but for whatever reason, I didn't like Daredevil. Like you said, Spider-Man's never really been your guy, me personally either. But I respect Spider-Man. Kind of goes for Daredevil as well. Like I respect these guys, but they've never been books I was like I gravitated necessarily towards in my younger years. But Daredevil was just one of those ones that escaped me from like I read, I guess I was just kind of going by more so like I always dug Morrison for what he did with New X-Men. So of course I was going to check out Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4. Such a odd title. I like how you can't even refer to it without saying 1, 2, 3, 4, or is it Fantastic Four, the number book? It's such an odd title. Thank you, Morrison. But yeah, I just for whatever reason, I just got to the Daredevil stuff late. But It was solid to me. I don't think it necessarily hit to me with me
It
like it does
didn't.
with other reasons. I wasn't
Yeah.
familiar with
It didn't.
but and what about you? Well, like you personally was Bendis when
Bendis was
Daredevil really
Bendis like as far in terms of Marvel Knights. To me, one of my favorite ones is the Wade Sam Nee run when he went to the West Coast. I know a lot of people despise that run, but that was
respect?
one of my first
I
runs
love that.
reading Daredevil. And dude, I'm a Chris Sam Nee sucker, but I love that run. Anyway, Bendis Malieve, man, yeah, for sure with the Marvel Knight stuff, and then I went back to the Kevin Smith, and I don't think the Kevin Smith stuff is good as the Bendis Malieve stuff. I think that was really Bendis like putting his flag in the sand and you know stating who he was as a creator. And I think Malieve was definitely like I was just going through it a couple weeks ago, like that scene where some sniper had him pegged from the bro felt like the laser on the back of his head and turned around and was Daredevil on the rooftop and the way Malieve drew it was fucking phenomenal. So yeah, definitely Bendis Malieve for me. But man, a character that like I feel like I'm continually disrespecting with like how little I've read of like his entire canon, especially with like as much as I Frank Miller as a fan as I like profess to be, I still haven't read the Man Without Fear. Like I still need to get to that. Um, you know, I don't know. There's so many like Daredevil runs I feel like I'm slacking on that I need to get to.
Same here.
And such a
You're not
such a great character, like a rich history. He doesn't have a weak run or a weak like creative moment. There's very few Marvel characters you can point to and say that. Like, but that guy is like airtight.
yeah.
Like you do not get on that title. You do not get on that title and fuck around. Like
No, it's like even during his lull moments or the lull runs, it's still like a strong title amongst its peers. That it might not be the best at the time, but it's never you never hear of a bad Daredevil run. That's true.
yeah, I love it because nobody's on that table, nobody's on that title and like disrespects the character or like you feel like doesn't understand of like the gravity of what they're handling. You know what I mean? And there's we need to celebrate and say what's up to characters like that. So I think he's definitely one.
Well said. Well
Oh
said.
yeah, bro. So yeah, tell me about FF1234.
All right, so this was a book I discovered shortly around I was never the biggest FF guy. I'm never the biggest at anything. I was mostly X-Men growing up, guys. So be honest. I would dip in my toes in other stuff very rarely. But this was one of the few Fantastic Four titles I picked up because Morrison was writing it, and I loved what he was doing with New X-Men, so I picked this up. I'd only really read Claremont stuff in like the late '90s when it was like they were coming back from the Heroes Were Born stuff, and even then I had no context to what was going
It's
on.
so ridiculous,
but it was
but I
still
love
cool.
it. Yeah, it's so ridiculous, but I love it. Like, and Claremont's like, I didn't get to finish my storyline. It's like, bro, your shit was fucking ridiculous, but
you just had to give him a few years.
Yeah.
But I thought this was Morrison has a way of they like to take old concepts and put like a fresh coat of paint on it. It's something that is almost simple from like the golden age years, but it's like modernized. I was crazy. I was like looking at their body of work, and it's like Morrison almost holds a little bit more respect. You can tell for the DC side of things, whereas Marvel, they were just real into let's fucking do it. Let's do it. Let's do the whole thing. Like especially with New X-Men. But this was a cool story in that aspect. Like it seems like a very simple tale, but it's just like a tale for all, like a classic all times tale. Like it doesn't really fit into any point in continuity. It's just like a classic FF tale. The characters are like almost the most simplified versions of themselves, but it works. But Doctor Doom essentially in this book is it's a cool gimmick behind it because each issue is like taking out a member of the Fantastic Four almost. But you know, in the end, like the book starts off like Reed's locked away, in his thinking room as he does. You know, he's been in there for a few days, and everyone's like, "What the hell's going on?" And so like Ben's like he's pissed off because no one respects him, and Johnny's got a hot date, and Sue's just left in between as always, and like, you know, it all spirals out from there. Ben gets turned into a human, loses an arm because
Yeah.
Doom manipulates his ass. Like your homie, you know, he's always pulling that one.
Yeah, it's like
What's your
really like
homie?
walk through the force field and you'll be fucking
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
And Bro's like, okay.
Come on, take my word. You take my word for it. I'm
Like,
Doom.
I don't know. This one is like, it's like you got Marvel Knights like Marvel Boy Morrison, and this is like, I don't know. This story is like wild. You know what I mean? Like, and something about this story
Morrison
feels
was
changed or altered or fucked with. Like, I don't like the four.
Yeah.
It seems like shorter than it used. I don't know.
Yes.
Something about it feels changed or altered.
I feel like they were trying to fit in with the gimmick of it's called 1, 2, 3, 4. You might as well make it.
Yeah.
No. It's like an what was it? Man, Spinal Tap. It's like, why not just make 10? Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, dude, this Jay Lee art, like, while you're taking a break, this Jay Lee art is fucking nuts. And dude, really didn't take a page off. Honestly, like some of this art more than I like the what he did in the Humans. But yeah, I thought it was like his panels and his page layout, and it was incredible here. No, I was just shouting out Jay Lee and like his panels and page layout. It was ridiculous, dude. Like this one right here was. I love this, like
the Mole Man.
Yeah, Mole Man. Yeah, that's her first introduction to Mole Man. Mole Man looks so great. Like, I don't know.
No, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I forgot where I left off. I probably was going on a tangent. But no, it's no, yeah. I think they're trying to finish the gimmick, and oh yeah, the Spinal Tap thing. It's like they're like, why don't we just make it 5 issues? He's like, yeah, but it's called 1, 2. It was some editorial person. Editorial's like, but it's called 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got to make it 4 issues. But yeah, some interesting moments. I like the whole bit between Sue and Namor. You know, the kind of that whole had that whole Jean and Logan thing going on, where there's always that unspoken attraction between the two. But yeah, I like the end of this book. It's spoilers. Like Reed, Doom. It gets it's a Morrison book, so it gets trippy. We know Morrison likes to, you know, they like to out their concepts, and
you see, like
Doom's
I love how you
this
see like
machine
Morrison sees part of himself in Johnny Storm. You can totally see that. Like he sees himself as partly Human Torch. I love how he's like always the wild young free rock star in some sense. You know what I mean?
Johnny in this book, bro. Only about looking good and you get into ladies. Like he's
such a
at one point he's like driving a car. He's like, yeah, I'm out. I got some shit to take care of. You can keep the car.
Yeah.
It just no, but it's humorous. But yeah, at the ending, Doom created like this machine where he can alter reality, of course, but no one can tell. But of course, Reed somehow could tell because they're on that level. And so that's why Reed at the beginning of the issue had went into his think tank, because he's trying to figure out what's going on. And it was Doom altering the reality, and it all tied back in a really cool, crazy way. You know, it's but it's I don't know. I was thinking, I was like, man, I'd read Morrison and Quietly on anything, but I feel like Morrison and Quietly on a Fantastic Four book, man.
Man, facts. Yeah.
Bro. But Jay Lee did a beautiful
Jay Lee
job.
did a great job. He really did. He really went somewhere with this, and he did his thing. Like I don't know if I don't know if it like if it's like one of like it's just unfortunate because I feel like it's not Morrison's strongest work. You know what I mean? But like I feel like Jay Lee knew what kind of situation he was in and really like swung for the fences and nailed it. Regardless.
No, yeah, he definitely elevated this. Yo, there was a that panel of Reed made me think. There was like an image of Reed at the beginning, I think, where he's like in this think tank, but it looks just
Yeah.
like the Cerebra version that Professor X uses in Morrison's New X-Men. That right there. I was like,
Yeah.
that looks just like the Cerebra in New X-Men. Well, not just like, but very familiar.
Hell yeah.
But it's a trippy book. It's definitely a 2000s book. There's some dialogue in this book that was like, man, that's edgy. You know, even from that's it almost gave me Millar vibes. But it's fun. You know, it's a
Yeah.
cool little story. Nothing crazy, but that art definitely elevated by Jay Lee. But
Yeah,
it's
it's
definitely
definitely worth
worth
a it's definitely worth a one-time read. Like I've read it before,
yeah.
but it's been a minute. But hell yeah. All right, bro. All right. We're about done with the show. We got 2 more quick segments left. All right. So on to Guess My Government. Now I'm gonna quiz you this show. Next show you can hold on, let's see what Jill says. I heard Morrison writing was weird. I quite enjoy his stories. Tripping can be a good thing, can it? Yeah, tripping is always a good thing to me, especially done well, bro. But Morrison
Hell
trippy or
yeah.
not, like some of his things are trippy, some of them are human as hell. But I think one of the great writers of the past,
Absolutely.
what 30, 40, what? When did he come out? Late 80s?
Yeah,
God,
Morrison
I'm
was
old as
late
shit.
80s.
Yeah.
Aren't we all, man?
God, dude. All right. Yeah. Well, before we get too depressed. All right. Guess My Government. Guys, we're going to try and identify a comic book character based off their given government or civilian identity. Now, I started off with a character who has already appeared tonight. This one's kind of like not necessarily a name or an identity, but an alias. I'm sure some of you will get it because you're all geniuses. But yeah, we're gonna throw this one out to the chat and see what everybody comes up with. Link you as well. Benjamin Poindexter. All guesses are welcome. First right answer wins a
No prize?
a no prize. Yes. Good call.
Benjamin Poindexter, bro.
Benjamin Poindexter, chat. Who is it? This one's an alias. Let me get my reading movie.
I've got
Sal's
two
out,
guesses.
Sal's out here snitching. Morrison's admitted to being on acid and other things while writing stories. Yeah, man.
I can definitely.
Invisibles for sure.
Definitely tripping when he wrote
Batman and Robin. And Batman and
that,
Robin
bro.
is trippy as hell. Like some of them characters in that Batman run are fucking weird.
Or was it
Anyway.
like the Pink Flamingo, bro?
Dude, do we have a stumper? Our first Guess My Government? I thought for sure somebody was gonna get this one. Benjamin
Yo,
Poindexter.
I've
Nobody
got
knows
to.
who Benjamin Poindexter is?
Is it Spider-Man or
All right.
Daredevil?
No, Spider-Man is like, he's taking off his mask. It's supposed to be like the background reveal theme type. We're revealing the identity. I'll give you a hint. It's in the Marvel universe. Marvel universe. Benjamin Poindexter.
Yeah, this is the alias they actually go by? Or just...
Yeah, sometimes. Link, you were right. It is. I'll narrow down even more. It is the Daredevil. The Daredevil universe.
It's the Daredevil universe.
Benjamin Poindexter. I'm glad we got a stumper our first one out, fellas. Any guesses?
I'm stumped, man. I'm not gonna. Daredevil was my guess. Daredevil back.
Oh,
yo,
Bullseye.
God damn it.
Bullseye's origins remain mysterious. No, there's no given name for this guy, but this is an alias he uses often. A notorious assassin trained by the NSA, he went freelance after clashing with the Punisher in Nicaragua. He first battled his arch enemy Daredevil while trying to extort money from the rich in New York City. New York crime lord the Kingpin then hired him to be his chief assassin and sent him after crusading attorney Matt Murdock. Daredevil's secret identity, but Daredevil stopped him. And of course, this guy is responsible for so many iconic moments. Fucking laying Elektra out. Damn. It doesn't get better than that. And of course, it really doesn't get better than this, folks. Oh, my GIFs aren't working. No, they're not working. Oh, no.
I did, you know, I
These were all wonderful, like crazy Colin Farrell GIFs, but you'll just have to enjoy these frozen stuff.
Oh, were they gifts? Were they like gifts or some shit?
Yeah, I'm sorry, GIFs, whatever.
Oh no! Oh no! I didn't hear you say
Is
that.
it gifts? Is it gifts or GIFs? What's the pronunciation? Is it gifts or GIFs?
I don't know. I honestly don't.
All right, that's the
shit. I pronounced Thor's hammer wrong for years before I found out what the correct pronunciation was. So I really don't know.
Samsonite.
Saying the wrong shit.
Remember Dumb and Dumber? Samsonite. I was way off.
Oh yeah.
All right, real quick, bro. Let's get out of here because I just got the angry eye from my wife. Let's give our flowers. I'm gonna give mine real quick. Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing number 56. I featured on my Instagram. Folks, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. If you haven't read this, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Swamp Thing gets kind of like his consciousness gets dispersed out into the universe and he arrives on this blue planet. All right. And everything, all of our artwork in here is just drowned in melancholy blues. The prose by Alan Moore reads like jazz. It's just, he is bored at first. He invents an opposite of himself. This is horrible. I'm doing a horrible job with the camera. Anyway, he invents the opposite of himself. They play chess to 5 stalemates in a row. He eventually invents an abbey in a town, and it's all fake, and he ends up tearing it back down and just becomes content to float back through the universe, through space. It's just a brilliant one-stop meditation on loneliness, on sanity, on life, on love. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, like honestly, you really can't go wrong. He's got sets of connecting issues with the story arcs, but then he's got these brilliant one-off issues where they just blow you away. And if you want to know, we all toss around the name Alan Moore, and some people know who he is and some people don't. If you want to get to know him, I highly recommend the Swamp Thing run. Just start at the beginning. It's in the 20s. It's 30, 40 some issues. It's collected out there. Or you can get it in the singles, of course, but you can get it for the low. It's still very easily, like, cheaply collectible. But if you want to get into Alan Moore and some great, like, poetic comics, like what comics truly can be, I highly recommend it. So yeah, I'm giving my flowers tonight to Alan Moore, Swamp Thing, number 56. Link, how about you?
I will go with Alan Moore's counterpart, there's a lot of comparisons drawn between the two, and
his arch nemesis. Let's just say it. His arch nemesis.
Graham Morrison's Sebastian O. It's a 3-issue miniseries about like espionage. It's like a thriller, but it's like assassins and stuff too. It's pretty cool, man. The main character's name is Sebastian O. It's by the artist is Steve Yao.
Dude, you said
I don't know. I feel like I don't know if this
steampunk assassins to me in the back chat, and that had me hooked.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to find some compelling art that's not too risque. isn't too bad, but you know, it's cool. It's very boom. Like, you know, this is oh shit. Let's drop the comic. Oh, Karate Kid, huh? Top that. I've never seen this, but it says
Ooh.
George.
Dude, we should have a. That's what we should do.
Stephen
We
King.
should have it like a comic book ad off, where we both throw up a comic book ad.
Oh, okay.
All right, now
Okay.
that's a dope segment. All right,
Yeah,
now we're cooking with
I
it.
can take it.
Oh yeah, well, great flowers,
But
bro. Anything else you want to say about that one?
oh no, it's 3 issues. It's early Morrison work, you know, about steampunk assassins. It's worth checking out. It's
Oh yeah.
badass.
All right, real quick. PCP content this week. Of course, Thursday night we got my boys' recommendation for Zombie Fest. 28 days later, it's gonna be me, Steph, Babel. I can't wait for this one. Steph,
Oh
anything
yeah.
you want to preface this one with? I know it's
It's
one of your
just
favorites all time.
yeah, it's just one of the greats. You know, come check it out. It's gonna be a great conversation. Always is.
Oh yeah. And of course, we got our man Fable, his new date and time, Friday night, 9 o'clock, with a new special co-host. Who could that be? Um, as well with our boy Chris from Lost in Comics. I can't wait for this one, man. So y'all come through 9 o'clock Eastern. Blame Fable and his amazing friends, and I think that's these were gifts or gifs. God damn it. Anyway, it was all awesome, and they were saying station, and we were doing the heavy metal. So, Link, anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here, bro?
Glad to be back. Happy New Year. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll see you next week.
Oh yeah, guys, this was
As
our
the
first show back from in 2024. The fact that like we've had more than one viewer since we started, and we're ending with 7 is a success to me. So thank you for everybody who viewed the show in 2023, who's viewing the show in 2024. We're constantly working to make this thing better and more entertaining for y'all. Focus on comics of the old. So thank you guys all for coming through and supporting. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. I remind you all to be excellent to each other and leave the world in a better place than you found it. As corny as that sounds, our insurrection starts with how we treat one another on a daily level. So remember that moving forward. Love y'all. I say peace to y'all. We will see y'all next Tuesday night at our regular time. We're coming back on y'all bitch ass at 9 o'clock Eastern with more Marvel nights and contemporary comics and shows and all that good stuff. Love y'all and see y'all next week. Peace.